Hey everyone, welcome back. Choosing to believe that I got better at doing this recording thing in the half an hour since I did my last video. Alright, so this is part 2. In part 1 we just got a basic remix app set up with some styling, so let's try to get some actual data into our application. So we're on Hydrogen tutorial fetch storefront data. So let me get over here. So they're gonna query using the GraphQL Explorer. This is pretty cool in Hydrogen because it's already built in to the development server, so you can just kind of pop it open and here's an example, if you can see that, and just like make sure your queries work. I'm not gonna add that for now. If you have a Shopify account, you can go to your store and there's an Explorer plugin, the Shopify GraphQL Explorer, I think is actually what it's called, and you can install it and query your own data there. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to trust that the queries that Shopify wrote will work for us. We're also not going to do SEO because the SEO tag is pretty cool and it's built into Hydrogen, but I don't think it's in Hydrogen React, so we'll skip that one for now. Okay, so we did this first one. Here it gives you the ending code, but we're gonna actually do it ourselves. All right, so this is the query that we're gonna have to make to get some shop info. And the reason we're gonna do this is because we wanna get the shop name and the description. We at least want the name. We're gonna display it in a header on our site just as kind of a proof of concept to show how to get the data in there. So let's move down to here. So how this tutorial does it is they make a layout component and then they query using this hook that's built into Hydrogen. We don't have access to this, so we're going to use Remix use loader data. We're also not going to make these requests in a layout component because I want to try to query all my data at the route level, like in each route file. So we want this everywhere, so we're gonna make the query in the root.tsx. But we're gonna steal this code. So let me grab this. I'm just copying and pasting right out of here. You might notice I have 2 folders open here now. These are this is the Hydrogen tutorial, and this is a completed version of what I'm doing now, just in case I have to reference it. So here's our root file, and I'm going to take this, I'm going to paste it in there. And this is where they had children. We're going to put our outlet in there. I already have a main. Okay. So I'm actually going to move this header into its own component just to keep this looking a little simpler. So we need a new components folder. I was listening to the part 1 video that I made and I was typing like an absolute mad lady, so I'm trying to be gentler so you don't have to listen to that. Okay, so what's this using? As this is home variable here, that's just styling the header differently depending on if you're on the home page or not, so I'll have to implement that. And then we have a link here, so I'm gonna import link from some React, and then we have, and the shop too, so use home, and we have shop. I guess I'll try to like put some props in here. Just so it doesn't yell at me. Use home, gonna be a boolean, shop. I don't really know what this is gonna look like yet. but I will at least put name in there. I'm honest, I haven't done a lot of GraphQL work, so I'm still kind of figuring out types. Maybe there's a better way to know what the GraphQL response is going to look like. I don't know. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Okay, so back to the header, we need to pass it an is home and a shop. I personally like working from the more detailed views and moving up. That's just works better for me. So I'll try to get all the view parts of everything done before I hook into more data. Oh, I gotta charge my computer. So we have home. Let's say this is true. And this is expecting something like, what was it, name? And then a cool app. Okay, is home. I guess I should import this. Oh, it's been a long day. Okay. So I'm gonna do dev. All right, so now we have our header. Let's just make sure that it just turns white. Okay, so now we got to populate these somehow. Is home, we're just checking to see if you're on the home page. So we'll do this one. And we can check the path name. Seems good. Make sure. Gotta check my opposite cases. Cool. Okay. So now we can figure this out. So we aren't gonna, well, actually, let's go look at the docs. How are they getting it? So they're making this query using uShop query. We don't have access to that, so we're gonna make our own. And we want this to load on every route, so we're gonna use our useLoader data hook. So const, we'll just call this data for now. Okay. And if we're using that, then we need to this is a loader function. Should have that memorized by now. And this is actually, this should be shop. So here is where we want to make a request to the Storefront API to get our shop info. So we're going to return something. I watched this YouTube video of, it was a tutorial, I think it was like Next.js and Hydrogen or Shopify, and I can't find it again. But they called the function they made Storefront. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with that. So it's going to make some kind of call. And this we can generically use for all of our GraphQL queries. So we'll have to pass it some query and then any variables that you need. And this has to be async. So let's go implement this. I'm going to make a new file. call it Shopify.server. And then we're gonna have this storefront. Okay, this is going to make a call to Storefront API, return some data. So let's look at this again. We don't have use shop query, but we can use Hydrogen UI, this is an experimental package that you can see here. And it has a lot of like hooks and components that you can use to still build a custom site without being tied to the Hydrogen framework. So we can use some of this. So let's install that. This is going to fail because if we look at the message, where is it? It wants React 18 and I'm on 17. So what I can do, I can upgrade to 18 and just not use any of the APIs, and it'll treat it like a I guess I'll update the types too. 18.0.24. Don't use this as your React upgrade strategy. I'm just trying to get around this error message. I'll get a message in the browser saying that Hydrate is deprecated and you should use Hydrate root, but if you don't, it'll just default to React 17 functionality. So we're gonna do that. Okay, so now we can install that package. And go back to here. And they have an example of how to set up that storefront client. So we're gonna steal that. One thing with this is we're just using the public storefront. So we're gonna steal it from Hydrogen's public store. So change that, public storefront. And then same with this. Okay, and then these values, you would set these to match your own personal store when you're actually setting this up. So I don't know, whatever your shop is called, and then you use your own token. I am using the Hydrogen store, which is the public one that they use. In this example, they don't actually have listed what the tokens are in the tutorial, but if you are doing the Hydrogen tutorial and you set up the project, it will have them in the project, so I'm just stealing them out of there. So I don't really have a good way of giving this to you, but if you've done the Hydrogen tutorial, which I definitely recommend you do, because this tutorial will make a lot more sense, you can grab them out of there. So their shop is called Hydrogen Preview. This is their public token. I'm staying on this storefront version. Okay, so that's what they look like. What we really should do is have these as environmental variables. So I'm just gonna do that. This one we're going to call public storefront token, and I'm using Cloudflare workers, so it's kind of weird. Like I wanted to write process.env in front of this, but you just write it like that. And then we have a Wrangler file here, which, okay, I already set these. But yeah, you want to add these lines here. So you set it to this value, the store domain, and then you'll have access to them in here. Okay, so this is going to be public store domain. Okay, and then I'm just gonna Declare var it's a string. Just get rid of those errors. So yeah, your Wrangler file should look something like this now. Get those vars in there. Once you deploy this, you just have to set them as environmental variables and should be able to read it. Okay, so now let's get back to our storefront query. So we have, where are we? So we have this function now. Now we have to define this. So let's import this from, what do we call that? Shopify server. Okay. Let's look at all right, so we already said this is going to take a query. It's going to take some variables. This query is just going to be a string. It's going to default to an empty object. And this was something I found in that Next.js tutorial that I will try to find and add credit because it was pretty helpful when figuring this out. But basically what we're going to do, wrap this in a try catch. We are going to fetch this storefront, and we have these two helpful functions that Hydrogen React gives us. So we can get our storefront URL, which will be built based on that domain that we passed in here, and then it's got to be a post for GraphQL. I can type. We have this get public token headers, which builds the headers that we need for this. If you're interested in what they are, just log them, just like, cost headers. Just log them out and look at them. I think there's like 4. And then finally, we need to pass the body. In which this case, it's going to be our query and our variables. So let's console.log that, and then let's not even return anything yet. I'll just log just in case. Okay, this is stopped, so I'm going to start that up again. Okay, so it did throw an error because we're not returning anything here, but that's okay. We just want to see what it's logging. Where are you? Storefront is not defined. Oh, I have to save it. Let's see now. Query is not defined. Oh yeah, I guess I have to finish this part. So what's our query going to be? Our query is going to be what we take from the tutorial. So looking at this example, we're just going to take this. We don't have GQL, and I'm not going to install Apollo or something. So we'll just do, I learned this trick in that YouTube video that I haven't been able to find. But when I do this, I can just, it'll like auto format that for me now. And then we'll pass this as our query, and then we don't have any variables, so I'm just going to remove that. And now refresh our application. Yeah, so you didn't return anything from your loader, that's fine. Let's see if we actually return some stuff though. Or from the API. Yeah, so we have this object. This is coming from the Hydrogen, or from the Storefront API. We have a store name and a description. That's pretty cool. Let's actually return it now. So this is returning it. We only want the data, so I'm just going to return result.data there. Yes, I know that might not exist. I'm not doing a great job with types. All right, so we're going to return this. It's going to return this shop object, or this object that has this field of shop. So here we're going to want to destructure that, and then we pass shop to here. In theory, now the store name should be in our header. Hydrogen. Cool. So that's coming directly from storefront data. Awesome. So that's how I have it all hooked up. So the rest of this tutorial is basically going through the pages, making more queries depending on what you need. If we're looking in here, they set up the SEO tags using this cool component that I hope makes it into Hydrogen UI or React, whatever we're calling it. Let's see, they make a feature collection, so it's kind of the same process. They're using use shop query. You'd want to use a loader, and then here's the query for that. Kind of all the same thing. So yeah, I recommend just going through this, trying to finish this tutorial in Remix land. I'm really excited to see how Remix and Shopify make Hydrogen better, because that would be pretty cool to use. But yeah, I think I'll stop it there because I covered mostly the concepts that I wanted to show, just kind of how you can integrate these two. And yeah, I'm excited to see what comes next. Thanks for watching.